In today's video, we'll talk about alternative assets and investments in things like exotic cars, wine, whiskey, paintings, watches, and other extravagant investments. We'll also go through NFT technology and the new digital concept. Everything said in this video will be based on research, facts, and statistics provided by one of the largest investment research companies. However, everything in this video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Hello friends, welcome to The Successful Investor, the place where we learn and invest. Let's start with the fact that really rich people often have extravagant hobbies, and often, these alternative assets are actually often bought purely for collector's purposes and not so much for investment. Thanks to this graph, we can see the average percentage allocation of the super rich. UHNWI translates to ultra high net worth individual, or in other words, people who own over 10 million US dollars. 25% of the assets of these people are in financial assets, including shares, bonds, and cash. 25% of the assets of the super rich are in real estate. The value of personal property is excluded. 23% of their assets are in their own businesses. 16% of their assets are in their main home and their holiday property. 6% are in collectors' alternative assets, such as wines, paintings, cars, watches, etc. And 6% of the assets are in other things that are purely individual. Reading through this graph shows how investments in financial assets, business ventures, or real estate investments can make your net worth significantly larger. Now that we know how big the market for collectible alternative assets is, let's look at its performance over time. In this next chart, we can see the presentation of the following assets for a period of 117 years, from 1900 to 2017. You can evaluate an investment or a group of investments by looking at their long-term performance, or in this case, decades of data and facts to be considered. The graph shows the wine as an investment in dark blue. In light blue are the stamps, in green are the violins, in yellow are the paintings, and in black is the average rise for all of the objects over the years. Books are in beige, jewelry in orange, cars in purple, and the average growth of the global stock market is red. Here it's important to mention that under cars, it doesn't mean low-budget cars and jewelry, but only high-value and rare objects. Such objects can be old and preserved Porsches, Mercedes, aristocratic jewelry, etc. This graph shows that the average rise in any collector's category does not beat long-term investment in stocks. The closest performance can be observed by exotic cars, followed by old-aged wines, and then the middle line is for everything else. If you're interested in exotic cars, this can be monitored through the HAGI index. This index is used to monitor the percentage change in the exotic car market. On this chart, you can see the performance of the HAGI index in the last 12 months. Let's now take a look at a recent Knight Frank study published in the summer of 2021. For 2020, the best performing luxury item is Hermes bags. Hermes bags are one of the most sought-after collectibles in the world, and the rise in price of 17% in 2020 proves this as much. The greatest interest in Hermes bags comes from Asia. The next highest rising category in 2020 was wines. In 2019, prices didn't change, but in 2020, the increase was 13%. Vintage Tucson wines were the best performing wines with an 18% increase, followed by vintage champagne, which rose by 14%. There was a strong rise in old and aged wines from the Burgundy region by 11.5%. The third best performing category was classic cars. This had a growth of 6% for 2020. The greatest interest in that year was Ferrari, where the rise was 14% for 2020. This graph presents the performance of various high-valued objects in 2020. The information in the small circle is only for their performance in 2020, while the figure in the large circle presents the price in the last 10 years. Watches are the fourth best performing group, with 5% increase, while on average, the whole index and all products rose by 3% in 2020. Collector coins lost 1% in 2020. Diamonds fell by the same amount, while paintings and whiskey fell by 4% and 11% respectively. The strongest performance for the last 10 years is whiskey, with 478% over 10 years, followed by cars for 193%, wines for 127%, handbags for 108%, and watches for 89%. The average index of Knight Frank rose by 129%. After looking at the presentation of traditional collector's assets, let's move on to the latest type of collector's assets, digital NFTs. NFT means non-fungible token. Fungible means that all units are the same. For example, $1 is fungible, a euro is fungible, the yen is fungible, or in other words, they're all identical. Non-fungible means not identical, or in other words, it's unique. This means that every NFT is a unique digital property that has been uploaded forever into the blockchain. NFTs set a new era for collectibles and dragged them into the digital world. From paintings, to songs, to limited emblems of famous teams and brands, anything you can think of could have a limited digital version of it, and the NFTs themselves will unlock various opportunities, as anyone with a certain type of NFT will also be able to visit an event, such as a concert. As this topic is very broad, we'll upload a detailed video exclusively about NFTs on our Patreon page. You can find a link in the description. This is the volume of the world's largest NFT platform, OpenSea. As you can see, the numbers were almost non-existent until 2021, where tens of millions of monthly sales on this platform alone exceed billions of dollars. On this next chart, you can see the number of sold NFTs. Not only the turnover is growing, but also the number of different NFT projects that are being sold among people. The number is approaching 2 million different NFT projects per month. On Patreon, we'll talk more about whether this is a balloon or a sustainable disruption. If you've learned something new and useful from the video, remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching till the end, and see you next time.